Welcome. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to our today's recording, to our today's broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Today we are going to be talking about a family. Thank you all for tuning in to our today's broadcast. And we decided to come live and talk about a family because clearly it is the most treasured unit of existence, and it began in the mind of God. It is not man-made. It is not an idea of a human being to bring or to order a family. It was in the mind of God, and it is in the idea of God. And while you can go back and maybe focus a little bit on maybe like when you're reading a book, or when you go to a bookshop, and buy a book, and you want to come and read that book at home, you will realize that at the page or at the front page or at the cover page, you realize that the author of that book have listed down the name of the book, the title maybe, and then he has listed down the authorship or who authored the book. And he has also, you will find that that author, he has also listed down the purpose to which that book is authored or that book was authored. And this arrangement or this exposition helps the reader to come into realization of why he or she has bought the book in the first place. All right. So you'll find that this reader who is reading this book will not read this book in vain, because the purpose to which this book is serving is clearly outlined there. So he will be able to understand the content of the book and the purpose to which that book is serving. That is the same thing with our God. That is the same thing with our Creator. And when we are going to talk about a family, we are going to define a family to the fundamental level of it. We understand what is a family, and then we come back and realize who authored this unit we are talking about called a family. And then after we have seen who authored this unit we are talking about, we are going to come down now and realize to what purpose was this family authored. To what purpose was this family authored? So that is going to be our work tonight. That is what we are going to be recording about tonight. And maybe if you're joining us live both on our platforms, on Facebook, on our YouTube channel, karibu sana, you are most welcome. And if you be finding this video later, it's also going to be a blessing as you listen and as you watch. All right. So karibu sana. Let us jump right into it. Now, what is a family? If we go back into the mind of God, remember I have told you that I can see all of you joining from both our platforms. Thank you very much, Sharon Mike. I can see you from our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Now, what is a family? When you talk about a family, you need to realize that it began in the mind of God. It began in the archives of God. It did not begin with a man, but it is reflected. It is reflected by man. It is man who now brings this family into being relevant, into being seen, but it is authored by God, by the Maker himself. And you should know that this is the most treasured unit of existence from divinity. It began in divinity. It did not begin in the physical. It began in the divinity, but its function and its purpose, it's for this physical realm. All right. So we need to know who authored this family. Who is the author? It is God himself. Now, to what purpose did he create this family? You will have to understand, to what purpose did he create this family? Thank you all for joining on all our platforms. I can see you. Now, who authored this family and to what purpose? Now, I will take you back into the creation, the story of creation. And you should understand that the story of creation from Genesis all the way to the Old Testament, the whole of Old Testament, it talks about Christ, it reveals about Christ, it magnifies Christ, it reveals the deity of Christ, all right? But when it's going to reveal about Christ, it is also going to reveal about other things in the human life or in humanity, okay? Remember, the Bible is a kingdom book. And what I love about the Bible, it is that it has answers to every question. Whatever you are looking for, you can find it in the Bible, and you can be answered by the Bible, and you don't need any other book to go and buy any other book to come and interpret the Bible, because it is capable of interpreting itself. I will take you back to the first family, and that is what we were talking about during our last video when we were talking about this topic about a family. And we will meet the first people to have ever existed. The first person there, you will find that it is Adam and Eve. And these two people, they were created in the image and the likeness of God. And after being created in the image and the likeness of God, now they were told in Genesis chapter 1 to go and be fruitful. They were blessed. They were told to go, be fruitful, and multiply and replenish the earth. Now, I was talking to you about the nature to which they were created. And I told you that the nature of God, number one, is that God is a spirit. And number two, God is holy, God is righteous. So the first nature, the human being, was incapable of having, or the first nature that was created for human being, it was the nature of having a spirit, and the nature of being holy and being righteous. So after that, after the fact that they were created holy and righteous, now they were released into the world and told, go now, multiply and replenish the earth. What is to replenish the earth? I told you it is to bring back the earth into its original position. Remember, before sin entered, the world was in harmony with its maker. But when Satan entered with the sin, with the evil, with the knowledge of sin, now the world was fallen, and the man in that world was also fallen. Okay? Before he entered with his wisdom, with his knowledge and his wisdom, with his sin, the world was with harmony with God, and the man in it was also in harmony with God. So this man, the first one mandate, this human being, the mandate number one was to bring back the earth back to its original position, to be in harmony with God, and for the world to obey God, and the world to hear God. And he was going to accomplish this because he was in the nature of God, and he was holy, and he was righteous. It was going to be a very simple task, and it was going to be as easy as that. Number two, what was going to follow is that every child that was going to come out of these two human beings, Adam and Eve, they were going to be children of righteousness, and they were going to be children full of holiness of God, okay? Because in the first place, the parents had the seed of righteousness and the seed of holiness. But at the moment, that is not what you see. We can see evil has taken over, has overridden the world, because why? There is a seed of evil that entered in the beginning in the Garden of Eden. That is why you see evil is existing together with good. Now, what happened? The first seed to come out of the womb of Eve, or the first seed to come out of the seed of the fruit of Adam and Eve, it was Cain. Cain was a representative of the seed of evil. And then there was another seed that came after Cain, the seed called Abel. Abel was a representative of the righteousness of God, or the righteousness of Christ. And we can see afterwards what happened. Cain, or the seed of evil, killed his brother Abel, and Abel represents the seed of righteousness. The Abel was a representative of the priesthood of Jesus Christ. and was the representative of the righteousness of Jesus Christ. So that is what happened. Now the seed of evil killed the seed of righteousness. You see what is happening now? Both are existing in tandem with each other, evil and good. And every time in our families, evil is trying to overrule the good in that setup, in that divine setup. And I told you that a family began in the mind of God. It did not begin in the mind of a human being. It is ordered by God. But right now, what we have, what the devil is doing in our families, it is to plant his seed so that as the seed of God is advancing, his seed, his evil seed, can also advance. That is the wisdom of the devil, because he does not have any capacity to create. So what does he do? He infiltrates our family and begins to bring his seed so that it can be incubated into existence, such that the agenda of God is advancing and his agenda is also advancing. So that is what happens. Evil is trying to surpass good. Evil is trying to kill good. The seed of evil killed the seed of righteousness. The seed of evil killed the seed of priesthood. And that is what happens in our families even today. I told you that the treasures of God are hidden deep right in there in our families, but it is in the confines of that family that you'll find all the evil is trying to ascend, is trying to break forth, is trying to kill the goodness of God in it. Even the best of the best, you find that at some point they are overruled by the evil that is transcending or finding its purpose or finding its expression in that family. Now, God designed a family to be a place where love is nurtured, gifts are nurtured, even a place where faith is passed down even to generations. And you realize that batons are passed on unto generations. You live your life, and then when you have accomplished your purpose, you pass on the baton to your children. And when they are done accomplishing the same purpose, they pass the baton to their children, to generations and to generations. And you find that the seed of God remains standing and the seed of God remains in function, all right? But that is not what the devil wants. He wants his agenda to continue advancing as much as the seed of God is advancing, all right? Now, when we build our families in the foundation of Christ, or when we come back now into the foundation of Christ, and we realize that it is begun in his heart, he's the author. So there is no way we are going to be successful in our families, or we are going to achieve excellency, not unless we go back now into the feet of the Master Jesus, so that we can draw the blueprint, so that we can know what is the role of a man, what is the role of a woman, what is the purpose of a man, what is the purpose of the woman, what is the purpose of this family, all right? Because when we don't know the purpose of a thing, what we are going to do is to abuse that thing. When you buy a cup at the marketplace, definitely a cup is meant for drinking water. But when you come back home, the same cup, you are not using it to drink water. You are using it to do other things, maybe to store your toothbrush, or to store your soap, or to store your so many things you can do with the same cup. But remember, the same cup is functional, but it is not functioning to the purpose it was originally intended for. So we need to go back to the purpose to which everything was intended for, and we will stop having mistakes and creating errors in our generation. Now, in that same family is where gifts are nurtured, love is showcased, and in a world where we are living in a world which is broken, tortured, and a world that is so sinful, and this world is looking to distort the order of God. Even all the systems you're seeing that are coming up, all the systems, those systems, they are looking to degrade and to disgrace the setup of a family, so that the goodness of God and the agenda of God can never be able to advance. So we should be very careful, and we should be very watchful, and we should also know the purpose to which this family is done what it is made for. Now, I have told you that man leads by voice. A man leads by voice. That is the purpose of a man. A man is a leader. He leads by voice. But the woman leads by influence. And that is the purpose. They are both equal, but their function is distinctful. Their function is different, but they are both equal in the eyes of God. Each one complements the other. None is superior to the other. It's not a master-slave kind of a relationship. It is a complementing kind of a relationship. It is not a hierarchy thing. It is a complementing thing. And this is the model, the only model that models the heart of God and models the heart of Christ and models what Christ wants into this world. Remember, I have told you that in the beginning, the first family, when we get into the first family to have ever existed, it was supposed to be like this, that every goodness of God will be trapped in that family and it will be showcased into the world, into the physical world. It will be multiplied. It will be replenished so that the world will come back into its original position. Now, as I was going through, reading through the Bible or studying my notes, I realized something that Apostle Paul said to Apostle Timothy. This is an apostle that he was grooming and educating into the excellency of the knowledge of Christ. And later afterwards, he became a great apostle also. Now, when Paul is writing a letter to this apostle Timothy in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 5, he's speaking about that he knows that this Timothy has sincere faith. He has sincere faith, and he's noting or denoting or quoting that this sincere faith was in his grandmother Lois, and also in his mother Eunice. You see, Timothy had come from a lineage of women who were stout in their faith in Christ Jesus. So here, Paul is telling Timothy, I know about your sincere faith that was in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice. You see, there's a heritage there. There's a treasure hidden there. There's some goodness of God there. There's some evangelism happening there. That family has become a storage of God, has become a bank account of God, where God is stored, where God is showcased to the world, such that even another person is able to see that I know this man has the same sincere faith that was in his grandmother and in his mother. That is the agenda of God, and that is the idea of God. But today, right now, as we are talking, as we are living here, we are living in a very distorted world and in a very distorted system, and where Satan is the God. Satan now is advancing his agenda in our families more than good. Okay, you will find that a child is born in a certain family, and in a family setup is where you are supposed to be the safest, it's where you are supposed to be nurtured the most, it's where you are supposed to be cultivated the greatest. But in that confines of that family, you find that it is where hatred, all malice, all evil, everything, even all the rape cases you see, every abuse you see, most of these abuses happens in the confines of the family. They don't begin with the outsiders. They begin right there in the confines of a family, where you're supposed to be at your safest, where it's supposed to be a safe haven. You find that it is where you are exploited the most. Those are traps of the devil. Those are agendas of the devil, or the functionalities of the devil, because he wants his seed to advance. Okay, he wants brokenness to happen in the confines of where you're supposed to find safety, or where you're supposed to find comfort, such that when your will is broken, you will never be able to recover or be able to come into contact with your purpose, so that you will just live a life of mediocre, and then you will just pass and go. That is the agenda of the devil. But let us not allow him to advance his agenda. Now, a family it began in the mind of Christ. That is what I have told you. And in our previous videos, I have also always told you that Jesus is God in flesh. God became a human being so that a human being can be able to reach him. So when we say Jesus Christ, we mean that God has come and made himself flesh so that he can be visible to humankind, and he can be seen, and he can be known. He can be able now to be known, but we are still searching for a God that has already arrived for us and in us. Now, in the beginning, God was there. Even before the beginning, he was there. Where was he before the beginning? You need to ask yourself these questions. And he did not create that beginning because he began with the beginning. No. The point for creating the beginning was for you as a human being, me as a human being, to be able now to begin to know him. That is why he entered my beginning, so that I can be able to begin to know him. Now, and you can see in the beginning, when he began his work of creation, after creating everything else, he went back into his archives and he brought out his another idea. He brought out his another masterpiece. He brought out a masterpiece called a family. Okay, so that when a man and a woman comes together and they bring children into this world, these children will be an advancement of the seed that they have incubated in them or inside them, and it was going to be definitely the seed of God. Okay, the seed of holiness and the seed of righteousness, and that was going to be what was going to be filled in the face of the earth. We would not be seeing any evil right now, but that is not the case, because we know sin entered and we have two seeds today. Even in your families, in my family, that is the nature of it. That is how it is. Evil exists in tandem with good. Cain and Abel are existing together, and every time Cain is trying to slaughter Abel, and I have told you these are two seeds, the seed of God or the seed of priesthood, the seed of righteousness. Abel was a representative of the righteousness of Jesus Christ. Cain was a representative of the devil or Satan himself. And that is what Satan does every minute and every time. He tries to kill the seed of God in our families that is trying to come up, that is seed that is trying to speak up for Jesus, the seed that is trying to live right for Jesus. You find that immorality is at the core in the confines of our families, because he does not want you to win that war. Because why are you going to win that war? And he knows the moment you win the war of your flesh, you are going to be a masterpiece in the hands of the kingdom of God, and you're going to bring down his kingdom of darkness. So what does he do? At the heart of that family, he makes sure that there is a seed of immorality, that you are tied there, you are entangled there, that you'll never be able to come out. He makes sure that there is a sin that you will never be able to overcome. And he knows very well that the ego of a human being, the ego of men, have refused the lordship of Jesus Christ. Even in our families, let me tell you, in our families, it is when you begin now to stand firm for Christ Jesus and for his knowledge and for his light, you begin to have a lot of chaos around you, because that is how humanity is designed. They're designed to reject that a God that is in his majesty can lower himself to humanity. We all want a God that is very far away from us, a God that we keep searching every day, a God that we keep sacrificing for every day so that he can do A, B, C, D. We want such kind of a God. We don't want a God that has lowered himself to our level so that we can be able to know him. And the moment we embrace this God, the Lordship of Christ Jesus, this one that has lowered himself to humanity, it is the moment that we will be able to see healing transcend in all areas of our lives as a family. So, jukumu ni letu. It is up to us. You are there, you're listening to me, or you're watching, and you can hear what I'm saying right now, you need to know that you have a responsibility. You need to know that you have a task to be a watchman, to be watchful, to know that the enemy is planting tares when we are sleeping and when we are rejecting the Lordship of Christ Jesus. So it is up to us to know that we have a solution. A solution is already with us. A solution is here with us. It's only to plead the mercies of God, to plead the Lordship of Christ Jesus, so that we can be able to come out of this entanglement and we can be able to reclaim back our purpose and our identity and to live happy and to be able to accomplish what God ordered or ordered our families to be able to accomplish. So we shall be continuing, and maybe to finish up, I will tell you other vices that we see in our families, in the setup of our family, and this is specifically in the setup of a marriage. So a marriage is an example or is a model of the love of Christ or the love of Jesus. Remember, he talks in the book of 2 Peter, he's talking and he's telling husbands, love your wives as Christ loved his church and sacrificed himself for their own sake. It is trying to model the leadership, the character of a leader, the character of this man called a husband. And then he's telling this wife, submit to your husbands and honor them. Okay, you see this model, how it is modeled. All right, but that is what is happening today. And maybe as we are finishing, I can show you the kind of spouses we are getting entangled with today, what the devil has modeled today. Because we can see, when you go back in the book of Genesis, you will realize that there is a spouse that God created there, and there was some character of that spouse, the first spouse, the male spouse. He was told to do what? To cultivate. He was told to cultivate this garden, and in short, bring out the best in this garden. And in bringing out the best in that garden, he was supposed to bring out the best in that garden, the best in that woman, the best in those children. In short, he was supposed to be a gardener and make sure that this woman, these children, they come into their purpose. They realize their purpose. And last time I also showed you the purpose of a woman. I told you a woman is a life giver, life maker. And when we went into Proverbs 31, I showed you a woman there, a woman, the Proverbs 31 woman. I showed you how he's modeling his son Lemuel into becoming a king. He's giving life into a kingship. All right. He's bringing out purpose into a boy until that boy became a king. Now let me show you 3 stages or 3 parts or 3 types of spouses that we get entangled in today. What Satan has modeled today. Number 1, I'll show you the scavengers or the scavengers. You know what scavengers are? Scavengers eat dead things. Scavengers eat dead things, and they are things like they are animals like let's say like hyena. A hyena waits for a dead thing so that it can eat that thing. It does not rely on alive things. It does not come near anything alive or anything that has life. Okay, so the number one spouse that you're going to be entangled with, if you're not careful, you're going to be entangled with a scavenger. And a scavenger goes for dead people who are dead to their purpose, people who are dead inside, people who don't realize what they were created to do, people who are stuck maybe in their role. They never advance to get to realize their purpose. People who they are just there, nothing, no life in them. All right. And these people, sorry to say, some of them are broken from their childhood. They grew up in brokenness, such that they think that nothing good can come out of them. They grew up in immense abuse, such that they believe nothing good can come out of them. What happened? Eventually they died to themselves. They are dead inside. They don't know that they have a purpose. They don't know that their life is greater and they don't see themselves through the eyes of God. Let me tell you, it is very dangerous when you're living a life without a purpose. When you are living an empty life, what you're going to do is to attract scavengers in your life, and they will come, they will eat you up in your dead state, and they will leave you for the dead and the dead and the dead. And let me tell you, when you fall in the hands of this type of a spouse, whether you are a man, whether you are a woman, I'm telling you, you will live a life of tears forever, and no amount of preaching can you be able to redeem you from that, until you realize, I have not yet begun to live my purpose. I don't even know my purpose yet. So you need to go back on a journey of self-identification. Now you begin to understand, why am I born? Why did I get here? Why am I in this world? What did I come here to do? Okay, so that now you can be able to live and accomplish your purpose. Now let me tell you about another type of spouse that you're going to meet in these streets. You are going also to meet a hunter. Tumetoka kwa scavenger, hao wanakulanga vitu zimekufa. If you're there, you don't know your purpose, you will meet with those scavengers. They will eat you, they will celebrate, they will leave you for the dead and the dead. Okay, and by the time you are getting up from that grave, oh, it will be too late. You will die in pain, you will die in agony. Please get out of there. Make sure you don't meet with a scavenger. And how are you going to avoid meeting with a scavenger? Make sure you are alive to your purpose. Make sure there is so much life in you. Okay? Scare that scavenger away. Scare that scavenger away. Scare the hyenas away by being alive to your purpose. Remember, we have said that a hyena cannot attract, cannot come near. Have you ever seen a hyena coming near a lion who is alive? Have you ever seen? No. But when it meets the body of a lion, what will it do? It will really celebrate. It will eat. Imepata supper. Okay? Have you ever met a lion ati simba inaogopa hyena? No. Because a hyena is a scavenger. It feeds on dead things. So make sure you are alive to your purpose, and you will not attract any scavenger in your life. That is the number one spouse that Satan has modeled. Hao ndio mabibi tuko nao, hao ndio mabwana tuko na wao kwa nyumba. And let me tell you, we are getting married and marrying this kind of people. A man is marrying such kind of a woman, and a woman is getting married to such kind of a man as scavenger. They feed on dead things. Now, the number two spouse you are going to meet on these streets, whether you're a man or a woman, mimi nakutahadharisha, you are going to meet with the hunter. Now, who is a hunter? Look at the king of the jungle, how it hunts. Or look at any other animal, how it hunts. Number one, when a hunter is hunting, it is afraid of its when a predator is hunting, it is intimidated by the prey. So for it not to be intimidated by the prey, what does it do? It hits the strength of the prey. Okay? That is what it does. The hunter, it is intimidated by the strength of the prey. Nandio isiwekwe chini. What does it do? It hits where the strength of the prey is. Okay? So it is also another thing to know your purpose. It is then another thing to be conscious about it and to live it out. To live it out. Okay? Now, these hunters are very ruthless. And let me tell you, the moment they hit the strongest point of you, they study, one thing about hunters, even to be able to hunt successfully, they must study the strength of the prey, and they must also study the weakness of the prey. They study two things, the strength of the prey and the weakness of the prey. And they cannot be able to attack if they don't know the strength of the prey, and they cannot be able to attack if they don't know the weakness of the prey, because it is their strength that is going to be their weapon. It is also the weakness of the prey that is going to be also their weapon or their strongest point. Now, they exploit your weakness. After exploiting your weakness, and then they don't leave you at that point. They also focus on your strength. They make sure that they pulled you down with your strength. They make sure that they intimidate you with your strength. That's the kind of people that you are getting married to. That's the kind of man that you will meet and he will propose to you. That's the kind of a woman that you as a man you will meet and you will propose to them and they will say yes. And they will be very happy. But you don't have an idea that you have entangled yourself with a hunter. And this hunter, what they do, they feed on your strength. They feed on your weakness. There's nothing good in you they see. Okay? These are the people that at the end of the day, the counselors, they call them, or the new world, our world today, they call them narcissists. These are the hunters and gatherers. Okay, make sure you don't get entangled with this one, the one that I'm telling you, the hunter, because they are very ruthless. They feed and exploit your strength. They are intimidated by your strength, by the fact that you know your purpose. It threatens them. The fact that you know your purpose, it threatens them. So guard yourself. If you're a man, you are there and you know you have this kind of a person. If you're a woman, you're there and you know there's this kind of a person near you. And because sometimes when we are getting into these institutions, we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the wisdom, we don't know what to do and what not to do. So when you realize that there's some mistake that you had made when entering into these situationships, you need to go back at the feet of the Master Jesus and ask for wisdom to be able to correct the situation, to be able to know how to live with that situation, or to be able to have the wisdom to know how to forge ahead or how to get out of that situation. Then there's another spouse that I love very much, and this spouse is in Genesis chapter 1. This spouse is called a gardener or a cultivator. This is the one that I'm telling you about. When Adam was created, he was given a place to live. He was given a purpose. And then he was told what? Cultivate this garden. Lima hili shamba. Cultivate it. What do you do when you're cultivating a land? Wakulima. I'm also a farmer. What do you do when you're cultivating a land? You bring out the best. You know, when you're turning over that soil, what are you doing? You are bringing out the best in that soil. You are bringing out the best. You are cultivating to bring out the best in that soil. So this is the spouse that you should get married to. The woman and the man who is a gardener, who is a cultivator, the one that can bring out the best in you. And how are you going to identify this person? But first of all, being alive to your purpose. And I have told you that there is the role of a man and there is the purpose of a man. There is a role of the female and there is a purpose of the female. Those are two distinctive things. Those are two different things. But most of us are alive to our role but dead to our purpose. Now let me take you back. And because we are Africans, it is going to be very easy to explain this one because we are Africans. In the early years or in the early days, it was very easy to be a man and it was very easy to be a woman because the role of a woman was distinctive and the role of a man was distinctive. The role of a woman, number one, was to cook, happy homemaking, giving birth to children, making her husband happy, cooking, such kind of roles. We know them, okay? Kuosha vyombo and such kind of a thing. And we know that a woman was not supposed to be heard. She was only supposed to be seen, serving visitors, just be seen there, but she did not have a voice. she was stuck at her role. She did not know that beyond her role, she has another purpose. There's some leadership in her, but in a distinctive way from the man, from the male. Now, that is the role of a woman in the olden days. Now, the role of a man was also very easy. Going to the city, working, providing for his family, blah, 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 coming home once a while, making sure the gate is closed, such kind of a thing, the role was, those roles were distinctive in that way, and nobody was crossing the path of the other. But despite the fact that these two excelled in their role, some of them still failed in their purpose, okay? And this is what happened in the Garden of Eden. What happened in the Garden of Eden is an irresponsible male and a dysfunctional female, because both of them, none operated in his or her God-given purpose. Now, when we go back into the times of fall, I have told you I will use Africans. I will use an explanation of an African because we are Africans, and it will be very easy for us to understand. Now, as we evolve, as we come, as time goes by, now these women, they have begun to empower the woman, as they call it. But if you ask me, a woman, we should not really call it empowerment, because a woman is already power by herself. It is a term we only use, it is the education system, but anyway, it's all good. It's all good. But a woman is power by herself. So what do you need to empower her for? So education is what was now coming to empower this woman. Now, when this woman was educated, you remember, in the olden days, she was not supposed to be heard, only to be seen. Now, after being empowered by the education system, now she's being heard. Her role, she can be able to perform her role, and she can also be able to perform the role that was making a man a man. So it is becoming very difficult and very hard for this man who was stuck in the role to be able now to handle this woman who is accomplishing the role of a It is a very chaotic world, because this woman now is able to accomplish her role. She can give birth to children, she can be a happy homemaker, and at the same time, she can be able even to go to work and do the things that the man was doing. So that is where the conflict is. And the man is not educated enough to know that his role does not end with his purpose. He doesn't know that he's a leader by default. A male is a leader. He does not know that. He does not know his purpose. So he thinks the fact that this woman is doing her role as a woman, and he has also, because of the empowerment of education, he has also come and he's taking over the role of a male. So the male is feeling threatened, because he also doesn't understand his purpose. So he's threatened. And what is happening in our families? We are turning our spouses, or these spouses are turning into hunters. Okay, they are turning into hunters, and some are turning into scavengers, because the moment you don't come into contact with your purpose, there is no dangerous person than a person who is not alive to their purpose. All right, they even feel threatened by that other person that is alive to their purpose. So let us go back to the root cause of all things, because purpose is greater than life. Whether married or single or whatever, your purpose should be your number one flag. You should be able to know, why am I here? Why am I existing? Kwa nini nililetwa kwa hii dunia? Why was I born in the family I was born? Why was I named the way I was named? Why do I do the thing? Why do these things that I see? So that you can be able to come into contact with your purpose. Okay, that is all for today. We are going to be continuing when you have some other time, but know that a family is the most treasured unit of existence, and it began in the mind of God, and it is all that to make sure that it brings out the excellency in God, to make sure that it is thoughts all the fullness of God, everything good about God. And this seed that is stored in a family, eventually it is able to be communicated to the physical world. And how is it communicated to the physical world? When the male and the female knows their role and their purpose, and none is hakuna mtu kuchukua role purpose ya mwingine, because we are all special in our own ways. We were all created unique, and were created to complement each other, not to compete. But what is happening today is competition. Because we are stuck at our roles, we never advance to get into our purpose. And your purpose is as unique as you are. You see, the same way you go and get your biometrics, none, even if you're born twins, none has the same biometrics as the other set of twins. We are all special in our own way, in that way. As special as your biometrics are, that is how your purpose is unique, that is how you are special, and that is how you are different. So we are all in this world to complement each other, not to compete. It is not a relationship of hierarchy, but it is to complement each other, because there is a strength here and there is another weakness here. The male maybe has a certain strength, the female has a certain weakness. So this strength is going to cover this weakness. A male has a certain weakness, the female has a certain strength. So this female is going to cover this strength. And that is how we complement each other. That is how God made for us to be able to coexist. And we all need each other. All right? So, in a world that is full of chaos, in a world that is advocating for things that we are not ordered by God, we really need to go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves, where did we lose it? And we are going to find the solution to our family. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Have a blessed Sunday night. And we will see you tomorrow as we continue. No, we will see you on Wednesday as we continue on the series of talking about Jesus Christ, the series of discussing about salvation and anything to know you need to know about God. So it is a pleasure to be coming to you. It is an honor to grace your screen. Once again, we are so happy. Thank you very much for joining our live tonight. We don't take this for granted, okay? So asanteni sana. Make sure you share if you have something that you think is going to if you have had something that you think is going to be of help to any other person, kindly share so that we can learn together and come in the light so that we can understand why God created a family and why he ordered a family. Remember, we have said that when you don't know the purpose of a thing, what you're going to do is to abuse it, all right? You see this book, it is for writing down, but I can decide to do this. But this is not the purpose to which it was made for. Okay, it is, I am using it, but its use, it's not full, it's not useful, because I'm not using it to the purpose to which it was intended for. So that is the thing with God. Everything he has created has a purpose. So let each and every one of us go back to a journey of embark on a journey of identifying and coming into touch with their purpose. And remember the three spouses we have talked about. We have talked about a scavenger. A scavenger only eats dead things. People who are dead to their purpose, they meet with scavengers. We have talked about the other one, that is a hunter. A hunter goes for people or goes for things that are alive, but things that have not come to have not realized their purpose fully. They are not conscious of who they are, so they intimidate them. They feed on their strength, they feed on their weaknesses. And we have talked about the cultivator, the other spouse, the cultivator. And may God bless you to find a cultivator, whether you are a man or a woman. May you come into contact with a cultivator, a person that will bring out the best in you. Okay, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you some other time. Thank you, and bye.